I believe some matches are made in heaven. Because there's no other way Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway would have locked horns inside a cage if they didn't have the blessing of MMA Gods. It's such a high-level matchup. You could argue that the rest of the UFC 300 dims in comparison, despite the fact that it's backed with fights that can easily headline a UFC Fight Night card. In fact, the fight is so bloody awesome that it should have headlined what's being predicted as the biggest event in UFC history. Nevertheless, it's still the people's main event. So without further ado, let's take a deeper dive into the madness that is the BMF title fight between the Blessed One and the Human Highlight. The last time Max Holloway tried his luck at lightweight, he got whooped. He was battered and bruised by Dustin Poirier, the greatest lightweight to never win the undisputed title. At that point in time, Holloway was a god among men at featherweight, and he wasn't just securing one win after another. He was mauling people by landing hundreds of strikes on them over the course of 5 rounds. He was the quote-unquote best boxer in the UFC. He was taking us through a blessed era. He was truly on top of the world.
You know, so at the end of the day, the Blessed Express is going around in a circle. We laughing you, bro. You know, and little brother, and I'm younger than you, so congratulations.
Yet the moment he crossed paths with a lightweight who has so far played second fiddle to the champion of his division, Holloway was no longer the force to be reckoned with. And that was because he didn't have the power to go toe-to-toe with someone who was just 10 pounds heavier on paper.
Two of them, like after the fight, there was a big difference between the amount of damage that Poirier landed. A big difference. And it wasn't just big shots; it was shots. Period. He was hitting him with really clean, well-timed shots.
At that knee,
dude, everything, man.
Split open his head.
Yeah,
man.
everything. He did everything great.
It's not that Holloway was dominated. He landed almost as many strikes on Poirier as he absorbed, but the difference in force, ferocity, and power was simply too much to handle for the Hawaiian. The bottom line is he lost, and badly. Since then, Holloway is 5-3 in 8 fights, with all of his defeats coming at the hands of one cruel individual, who goes by the name of Alex Volkanovski. For everyone else, Holloway is still very much a nightmare they wish they could skip. There are levels to this game after all. And while Holloway fell down the pecking order a bit, Justin Gaethje abandoned his recklessness and leveled up to become the UFC's baddest mother effer by reducing Dustin Poirier to molecules with a brutal head kick in their rematch. The first time they fought in 2018, Poirier mauled Gaethje because the latter was a reckless brawler fighting for fans rather than for himself. That loss, however, forced him into making changes, and it worked wonders.
Justin Gaethje's a monster. Justin Gaethje is a monster. He's a monster. He's a terrifying individual. He is, in a sport that's violent, inherently violent sport, he stands out the most violent.
Since losing to Poirier in 2018, Gaethje has indeed unleashed violence and hell on his opponents, with his first victim being James Vick, who was knocked out in the first round. He then sent Edson Barboza and Donald Cerrone packing, before putting a bad beating on Tony Ferguson and essentially ending his career. Then followed a setback in the form of Khabib Nurmagomedov, a re-emergence against Michael Chandler, another setback against Charles Oliveira, followed by wins against Rafael Viziev and Dustin Poirier. Like Holloway, Gaethje has beaten every dude he's faced, bar the champion of the division, and like Holloway, he's one of the most loved fighters on the roster. Like Max, he loves to throw down and put on a show for the fans. And like the Blessed One, he likes to inflict pain and desperation on his opponent. But unlike Holloway, he hits like a truck, and that's his ace in the hole.
You watch how that motherfucker attacks people. There's a reckless abandon to his calculated wildness.
Throughout his UFC career, Holloway has shown time and again that his boxing is out of this world. His volume is through the roof, and he often lands 6-punch combos at once. There aren't many fighters in the UFC that can beat Holloway in an all-out boxing battle. barring the man he's about to face at UFC 300. Justin Gaethje is the human highlight for a reason. He's ferocious. He hits like a freight train with failed brakes, and he just loves violence. Although his aggression is a lot more calculated these days. He doesn't swing like a drunk dude in a bar fight anymore. Instead, he hits like a sniper, and mostly on counters. He's precise, he's deadly, and he only needs one shot to send his opponents to a place where time does not exist. Holloway's chin is goated though. He can take over 200 strikes from Poirier and still continue to march forward. And if he can take those bombs from Alex Volkanovski without much trouble, he can surely take Justin Gaethje's best shots. But that could signal a punishing night for him. Because if both men were to land 100 strikes on each other, we all know who's going to suffer more damage. But that's what makes Holloway an absolute G.
For having the balls to try this, okay? Because as I said, that's what a real man does. Don't manufacture fights that you know you can win, right? It's boring. If you know...
He's not scared of anyone. I'm not underestimating Holloway's ability to knock Gaethje out. I'm not saying that the Hawaiian doesn't hit hard. He surely hits very hard. If we go back and look how Brian Ortega and Calvin Kattar's faces were all messed up when they fought Holloway, we can understand just how ferocious Max is. He even knocked out the Korean Zombie in his most recent fight, so the power is certainly there. But is it enough to crack Justin Gaethje's chin?
But 155ers are bigger than 145ers. It's as simple as that.
Holloway's best chance at winning this fight is by outstriking Gaethje for 5 rounds and securing a decision to prove us all wrong. But this is Justin Gaethje we're talking about. He won't just stand there and take Holloway's shots like he's a punching bag. He'll counter with mean intentions. And once he lands one clean shot on his opponent, the former featherweight champion will respect the earth-shattering power his opponent can generate. As a wise man once said, they all have a plan until they're punched in the face. But what about those darn low kicks that have crippled the best lightweights on the planet?
Who's the best guy you fought that had kicks like that you said, oh man, this is a
Gaethje probably. He partially tore my quad.
Oh, he throws him hard.
Yeah,
he throws everything hard
for his body. Like he'll put him like so into the fight. Him not caring about position and throwing kicks as hard as he can just to land them. Not worried about like the repercussion.
Kind of like his
Arizona native has some of the best low kicks in the game, and he throws them with a crazy amount of force that could chop down timber. If my estimate's correct, 10 leg kicks from Gaethje are enough to destroy mobility. And a fighter like Holloway, who relies heavily on movement to create angles, can't afford to fight without his legs properly carrying his body weight. But then again, Holloway doesn't enjoy the same reach and size advantage at lightweight as he does at featherweight. So even if he tries his best to avoid getting his legs sliced down, he can't avoid the inevitable. Unless he pulls a rabbit out of the hat and knocks Gaethje out while effectively checking all the leg kicks. The longer this fight goes, the more pain Justin Gaethje will inflict on Holloway. The highlight is the BMF for this reason, and he'll do what he does best to add another legend to the list of his vanquished foes. But here's the interesting bit. Holloway has added a lot more muscle for the Gaethje fight than he did against Poirier.
And then this fight here, we had a good amount of time. We were able to add some muscle to him with more speed. Things like that. In the Poirier fight, I believe the weight was a hindrance.
Will it have any impact on his performance? UFC 300 can't come sooner. Justin Gaethje or Max Holloway? Who are you backing to win at UFC 300? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and turn on those notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.